All people should know that whatever I do so that I can fly.
We're going to bring Amelia back to life. She's going to be a new hero that America's going to rediscover.
Amelia Davis Earhart, a trailblazer aiming to be the first pilot to circumnavigate the globe, mysteriously vanished over the Pacific Ocean. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance remain a puzzle, a mystery that has captivated the world for decades. However, recent research claims to have uncovered the truth behind the Amelia Earhart mystery.
We have a high degree of confidence that we know the area where the aircraft is located.
We're extremely confident that we can find this plane.
Join us as we delve into this captivating mystery. Chapter 1. Early Life. American aviation pioneer Amelia Mary Earhart, born on July 24, 1897, soared into the history books with her remarkable accomplishments as a woman. Amelia Earhart's passion for adventure ignited in her 20s, and she steadily honed her skills in the burgeoning aviation industry. In 1932, she etched her name in history as the first woman to solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Her achievements resonated globally, capturing the imagination of people from all walks of life. Amelia Earhart was a staunch advocate for women's rights, shattering numerous aviation records along the way. Leveraging her growing fame, she co-founded the 99s, an association for female pilots, to bolster the nascent commercial aviation sector. Tragically, in 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan vanished over the Pacific Ocean, not far from Howland Island, in their quest to circumnavigate the globe. Their disappearance remains a captivating mystery, fueling research and theories. But before we dive into that, let's review her early life. Amelia Earhart was raised in Atchison, Kansas, and her passion for adventure took root at a young age. Although there are few facts about her early years, it is evident that an insatiable curiosity took hold. By her 20s, the expanding area of aviation provided the ideal outlet for her adventurous nature. She started to gain flying experience and gradually increased her knowledge and proficiency. 1928 saw Amelia Earhart's first taste of public attention. She wasn't the pilot, but became the first female passenger to fly over the Atlantic, an incredible accomplishment. Her passion was only increased by this encounter. Earhart made history 4 years later, in 1932, when she became the first female pilot to complete a non-stop solo transatlantic flight. This incredible accomplishment not only broke aviation records, but also captivated the attention of people worldwide. She was well-deservedly awarded the famous United States Distinguished Flying Cross for her bravery and skill. The public's fascination with Amelia Earhart's legacy has been sustained by the mystery surrounding her disappearance. Her Lockheed Electra disappeared, leaving a hole that sparked rumors and conjecture. The lack of conclusive information regarding the whereabouts of the airplane and its occupants has led to incessant searches and numerous documentaries that aim to reveal the truth. Earhart's accomplishments were remembered even though there was no resolution. She was given much-deserved recognition decades after being assumed she had passed away. She was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame in 1968 as a trailblazer who had permanently altered the face of aviation. Her reputation as an inspirational person who broke down barriers and resisted social constraints was further solidified 5 years later, in 1973, when she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. These accolades are proof of Amelia Earhart's lasting influence, a woman who dared to aim high and whose disappearance never fails to pique our curiosity. Now, she is the subject of several tributes inside and outside the U.S. Her likeness was memorialized, and a commemorative airmail stamp guaranteed her place in aviation history. Her name is permanently associated with airports, museums, bridges, and even a cargo ship that honors her pioneering spirit. Her legacy is represented by various sites, including the Amelia Earhart Playhouse in her hometown of Atchison, Kansas, and the Amelia Earhart Dam in Indiana. Several schools and libraries have been named to ensure that her narrative inspires future generations. Beyond Earth's atmosphere lies the reach of Amelia Earhart. Her influence is so great that it reaches the stars. She is named after a minor planet, a planetary corona on the Sun, and a recently found lunar crater. Numerous books, documentaries, and films have been written about her life and accomplishments, guaranteeing that her narrative will always impact viewers everywhere. Amelia Earhart cemented her position in aviation history when she placed 9th on Flying Magazine's esteemed list of the 51 heroes of aviation. This honor highlights her significant contribution to the area and her ongoing source of inspiration. But scientists have revealed a twist, suggesting that the icon still lives. Keep watching to figure out all it's all about. Chapter 2: Amelia's Career. Amelia Earhart faced both financial and personal difficulties in the early 1920s. Her mother, who was managing her grandmother's money, made a regrettable investment in a failing gypsum mine, which caused her savings to disappear until they were completely gone gradually. This setback made it impossible for her to continue taking flying lessons and forced her to sell her cherished Kinner Airster biplane, which she called the Canary. Earhart's spirit remained daring, unfazed. She decided to sell a second Kinner and use the money left over to buy a 2-seat yellow Kissel Goldbug speedster car. Her new means of transportation, the fierce car known as the Yellow Peril, reflected her unrelenting will and voracious appetite for discovery. Amelia Earhart's enthusiasm for flying never wavered during her time in Medford. She actively sought methods to continue her involvement in the emerging area and joined the esteemed Boston branch of the American Aeronautical Society. Her increasing reputation in the aviation field was demonstrated when she was elected as the chapter's vice president, reflecting her skill and dedication. Earhart did not confine herself to positions of authority. In the nearby town of Quincy, Massachusetts, she eagerly pursued opportunities to fly out of Denison Airport, formerly Naval Air Station Squantum. She even contributed a personal amount of money to help finance the airport's operations, realizing its potential. This investment showed her dedication to creating an encouraging environment for aviators. In addition, Earhart's 1927 departure from Denison on the first-ever official flight solidified her legacy at the airport. Amelia Earhart's impact went beyond the cockpit. Using her increasing notoriety as a local celebrity, she accepted a position as a Boston-area sales representative for Kinner Aircraft. By marketing these aircraft, she significantly contributed to the company's expansion and increased public knowledge of aviation in general. Her enthusiasm for flying extended beyond her accomplishments. In her vision, aviation would be more welcoming and inclusive to women. Driven by this aspiration, she established the foundation for a group devoted to female flyers. Eventually, this original idea would grow into the 99s, a trailblazing organization that still empowers women in aviation today. After his historic solo transatlantic flight in 1927, Charles Lindbergh sparked a wave of media coverage and popular interest in aviation. Rich socialite and amateur pilot Amy Guest was one person who captivated me the most. As a passenger or a pilot, Guest's dream was to be the first female to cross the Atlantic. However, as she looked more closely, she realized how much risk was involved in taking on such a bold project, so she had to reconsider. Even though Guest finally decided against making the treacherous trek herself, her curiosity about the accomplishment remained high. Rather, she used her contacts and finances to fund the initiative, hoping that another girl with the right image would take the lead. This choice would significantly impact Amelia Earhart's life. Amelia Earhart was working hard one fateful day in April 1928, when she received a call that would change her life's trajectory. On Amy Guest's and her investors' behalf, Captain Hilton H. Rayleigh made an amazing offer. "Would you like to fly the Atlantic?" This straightforward inquiry allowed Amelia Earhart to change her life and make aviation history. Amelia Earhart received a novel proposal from the Transatlantic Flight Organizing Committee, which included well-known individuals like publisher George P. Putnam. Despite being officially classified as a passenger, she would travel across the Atlantic with seasoned pilots Wilmer Stultz and Lewis Gordon. But she was more than just another passenger on the ship. She was assigned the vital role of keeping the flight log up to date, which required concentration and careful documentation. The day, June 17, 1928, changed the course of history. Gordon, Stultz, and Amelia Earhart took out from Trepassey Harbor, Newfoundland, flying in their dependable Fokker F-17B/3M, which they named Friendship. The crew demonstrated competence and perseverance for 20 hours and 40 minutes. They made it across the enormous Atlantic Ocean without incident, landing close to Berryport in South Wales. This historic landing spot is now permanently marked with a blue commemorative plaque, reminding them of their accomplishment. It is crucial to recognize the ongoing controversy about Amelia Earhart's participation in this transatlantic voyage. Earhart did not take the controls because of the complicated navigational instruments required for a large portion of the route and her lack of specialized experience in instrument flying. Because of this, some have minimized her role and said she was only a passenger. Earhart, though, disagreed with this portrayal. She acknowledged Stultz's skill as a pilot in a post-flight interview, saying, "Stultz did all the flying. Had to. I was like a bag of potatoes, just extra weight." However, her closing statement, "Maybe someday I'll try it alone," alluded to a more ambitious goal. Even though it wasn't a solo flight, this transatlantic trip was an important learning opportunity that reinforced her goal to take to the skies on her terms. Amelia Earhart's transatlantic voyage was a two-part expedition rather than a single event. Even though the maiden flight attracted much attention, the reaction she received after landing in the US and Europe provided an interesting window into how people felt at the time. On June 19, 1928, Earhart landed at Woolston in Southampton, England, and was greeted as a hero. While the specifics of this reception are still being investigated, news reports indicate that a cordial and gregarious greeting was given. It's interesting to note that Earhart flew an Avro Avian 594 Avian 3 aircraft, owned by the pioneering Irish aviator Lady Mary Heath, for this first stage of her journey. Earhart was so taken by the aircraft that she went on to buy it and arrange for its return to the US. In sharp contrast, the transatlantic flight crew of Stultz, Gordon, and Earhart experienced a far grander and more well-publicized celebration upon their return to the United States on July 6th. A ticker tape parade, fit only for genuine national heroes, greeted them as they arrived at Manhattan's renowned Canyon of Heroes. President Calvin Coolidge gave a White House banquet to cap off the festivities, further cementing their legacy in American history. The differences in these responses indicate the continuing discussion about Amelia Earhart's participation in the transatlantic flight. Some questioned if she deserved such honors, given that she wasn't the journey's principal pilot. But in the end, Earhart's abilities as a navigator and her desire to fly alone in the future came to be acknowledged. Even though Amelia Earhart wasn't in charge of the aircraft for the transatlantic voyage, her significance in aviation history was more acknowledged after the ticker tape procession and White House welcome. Beyond her aviation endeavors, Amelia Earhart possessed an unorthodox attitude. She approached marriage with this in mind, as shown by an amazing letter she wrote to George P. Putnam on their wedding day. The fact that she delivered the letter by hand on their special day emphasizes how important she thought these terms were. Earhart broke the mold of traditional marital vows in her open letter. She made it plain that she would not submit to any medieval code of faithfulness, a blatant denial of the expectations that society places on faithfulness. This provision guaranteed a certain amount of emotional and possibly bodily independence within the union. Earhart's longing for self-reliance transcended sentimental limitations. She stated that she needed someplace where I can go to be by myself now and then, implying that she valued having time to herself and being free from the demands of marriage. Rather than being a rejection of Putnam, her urge for isolation was a reflection of her own need for independence. One interpretation of the letter would be that it clearly outlines expectations for their particular kind of cooperation. Earhart had no desire for a conventional, constricting marriage. She had an idea of a partnership based on understanding and respect for one another, in which each person could be true to themselves. This strategy may have been unorthodox then, but it demonstrates Amelia Earhart's progressive marital beliefs and steadfast devotion to her identity. The unusual relationship between Amelia Earhart and George P. Putnam went against popular wisdom. On the actual day of their wedding, they were served as evidence of this. Most couples take a vacation, but not Earhart. Instead, she plunged into a 9-day promotional trip, promoting beech nut chewing gum and autogyros. Their relationship was characterized by her commitment to her work and her independence. Putnam brought 2 kids from his first marriage to Dorothy Binney, 1888–1982, into their union. But Earhart and Putnam never had children together. The pair had a special bond because of Dorothy, an heiress whose family's business, Binney and Smith, is credited with inventing Crayola crayons. Their sons, George Palmer Putnam Jr. (1921–2013) and David Binney Putnam (1913–1992) joined the extended family as writers and explorers. Amelia's quest to surpass limits in the aviation industry didn't end as she viewed it. What happened? Chapter 3. Planning her first launch. Driven by her unquenchable curiosity and ambition to surpass limits, Amelia Earhart embarked on a bold new undertaking in early 1936, circumnavigating the globe. Even if other people had already completed an airborne circumnavigation, Amelia Earhart saw a special path that would make her famous in the annals of aviation. Earhart carefully considered her circumnavigation route and chose a difficult path close to the equator. This audacious plan will travel an astounding 29,000 miles, 47,000 kilometers, far beyond the reach of earlier round-the-world expeditions. The equatorial trip had unique difficulties, including the need for strategic fuel stops and cautious navigation. Earhart realized she would need a plane that could withstand the severe strains of this difficult expedition. She partnered with Lockheed Aircraft Company to design a specially tailored aircraft with financial support from Purdue University. In July 1936, Lockheed rolled out the Lockheed Electra 10E from its Burbank, California plant. This was more than simply an aircraft. It was the realization of Amelia Earhart's dream. She called it her flying laboratory, which is a testament to the many changes she made to the original design. The biggest modification was the fuselage, which was redesigned to provide room for an array of spare fuel tanks essential for long-distance flying over open water. After delivery, Mance's United Air Services, conveniently situated just across the airstrip from the Lockheed plant, served as the flying laboratory's temporary home. This proximity made it simple to make last-minute alterations and preparations before Amelia Earhart's historic circumnavigation. Although the press hailed the Lockheed Electra as a flying laboratory, the mission's scientific goals were slightly exaggerated. Although some rudimentary data collection may have been the aim, the main focus was on Amelia Earhart's objectives. Her main goal was to become the first female aviator to circumnavigate the Earth. This accomplishment would surely bring her international recognition and be a great content source for her upcoming book. Earhart required a highly qualified navigator at her side for an undertaking as complicated and potentially dangerous as this one. She gave this important assignment to Captain Harry Manning, an experienced sailor she had known in the past. When Amelia Earhart made her 1928 transatlantic flight, the ship that carried her back from Europe was President Roosevelt, captained by Manning. This earlier encounter probably increased Earhart's confidence in his skills. Captain Manning made invaluable contributions to the crew, including his proficiency in navigating, his accomplishment as an accomplished pilot who could take over the controls if needed, and his mastery of Morse code, which was indispensable for long-distance correspondence, an essential ability for keeping in touch throughout the journey. On March 17, 1937, Amelia Earhart launched her mission to become the first female circumnavigator. Full of excitement, this first leg signaled the start of an adventurous journey. No one was with Amelia Earhart in the cockpit of her Lockheed Electra, often known as the Flying Laboratory. Paul Mance, the technical advisor, navigator Fred Noonan, and veteran pilot Harry Manning accompanied her. Their objective was Honolulu, Hawaii, the starting point of their far-reaching expedition. But getting to Hawaii wasn't an easy journey. The propeller mechanisms of the Electra had malfunctioned. Due to a mechanical glitch, a detour to the U.S. Navy's Luke Field in Pearl Harbor was necessary. Even though it was inconvenient, this last-minute halt gave them a vital chance to fix the problem before moving on with their search. Following 3 days of maintenance and alterations, Earhart, Noonan, and Manning were prepared to resume their flight. Mance disembarked, leaving the core team to take on the remaining tasks as he was no longer needed. They took off from Luke Field with a refreshed feeling of purpose and an impeccably kept airplane, their sights firmly fixed on the huge Pacific Ocean and the continuation of their historic quest to circle the globe. Unfortunately, the flight never went past Luke Field. A disaster occurred on March 19, 1937, during what should have been a normal takeoff. Something went wrong when the Lockheed Electra, heavily packed with fuel for the long journey ahead, sped down the runway at Luke Field. The plane spun out of control while still on the ground, a horrifying scenario that occurred as the aircraft veered sharply into an uncontrollable ground loop. The repercussions were dire and swift. The forward landing gear collapsed due to the power of the spin, causing the jet to scrape along the tarmac on its belly. Critical to producing propulsion, both propellers crashed into the earth, immobilizing the aircraft. Fortunately, there were no reports of significant injuries to the crew. There was an ongoing discussion on the precise cause of the crash. Witnesses at Luke Field, including an Associated Press journalist, reported seeing a tire blow out during the takeoff run. Earhart agreed, speculating that a collapsing landing gear or a tire blowout could have caused the crash. Not everyone, though, concurred with Earhart's evaluation. The pilot mistake was blamed by several, including technical advisor Paul Mantz. Regretfully, it is impossible to pinpoint the exact reason for the accident due to a lack of solid evidence. Electra was too severely damaged to complete the round-the-world attempt. Earhart was saddened to have to cancel the mission. After that, the Lockheed was cautiously placed aboard a ship and driven to the Lockheed plant in Burbank, California, where it underwent a protracted repair procedure. And after this, she moved on to another remarkable flight. This won't end the way you thought. Chapter 4. The Flight of History. There was a noticeable sense of unease at Lay Airfield on July 2, 1937. The clock at 10 a.m. local time, or midnight GMT, served as a sobering reminder of the immense distances that Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan were about to traverse. They entered the cockpit of their flying laboratory, the Lockheed Electra, which was now filled with fuel for the arduous journey ahead, with a determined expression on their faces. They were going to Howland Island. Measuring only 6,500 feet long and 1,600 feet wide, this small patch of land appeared inconsequential on a map, yet it was a crucial location in their ambitious plan. Howland Island, rising only 10 feet above the Pacific, was a formidable target given the size of the Pacific Ocean surrounding it. The Electra's range was pushed to its utmost, as it had to cover an astounding 2,556 miles, 4,113 kilometers. Earhart and Noonan were starting a transatlantic journey in a single day, with an expected flight duration of 20 hours. Their calculations considered the 2-hour time zone difference between Howland Island and Ley, which was made more difficult by the requirement to cross the international dateline. This meant that although they had left late on July 2nd, they would arrive on Howland Island early on July 3rd. With over 1,100 gallons of gasoline on board, the Electra took flight. Even though this can seem like a big sum, it was a risky trip. Fuel management was a major worry because of the duration of the flight and the unpredictable weather they would encounter. Earhart and Noonan knew the risks involved, yet they set out determined. One mistake in navigation or a mechanical malfunction might leave them stranded in a barren ocean far from any possible rescue. By the afternoon, they were already aboard the flight. At 3 p.m., Earhart reported their altitude as 10,000 feet above the ground, but later announced they would descend due to heavy cloud cover. Around 5 o'clock in the evening, Earhart reported their speed at 150 knots, flying at an altitude of 7,000 feet. Despite Earhart being unable to hear speech transmissions from the ship, the Itasca received clear and loud voice communications from her and Noonan as they approached Howland Island. The malfunctioning direction finder on the aircraft indicated that signals from the ship would need to be relied upon, but as time passed, all communication was lost. Radio signals ceased, and operators realized a breakdown in their RDF system, hindering their ability to accurately tune to the communication frequency. The final voice message that Amelia Earhart sent from Howland Island revealed that she and Noonan were traveling along a line that would have been computed and charted by Noonan, which traveled from north to south on 157,337 degrees. Following the loss of communication with Howland Island, efforts were undertaken to communicate with the flyers via voice and Morse code. There's a chance signals from the fallen Electra reached operators in the U.S. and the Pacific, but they were faint or incomprehensible. As days turned into weeks with no word about Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan, a faint ray of hope emerged amidst the creeping despair. Various reports of radio signals supposedly from Amelia Earhart began to surface, providing a glimmer of hope for their survival. While these scant hints fueled rescue efforts, they appeared futile. The credibility of these transmissions quickly came into question, as many were revealed to be fraudulent attempts to mislead search teams or capitalize on the public's emotional connection to the mystery surrounding Amelia Earhart's vanishing. Recalling the hectic scene later, the captain of the USS Colorado, actively engaged in the search, said, "There were no doubt many stations calling the Earhart plane on the plane's frequency, some by voice and others by signals." This clamor of unconfirmed communications made the already excruciating search operations much more frustrating. The captain's remarks vividly depict the confusion that hampered the search. As other stations tried to reach Earhart on the assigned frequency, it was almost hard to discern false reports from actual distress calls. Undoubtedly, the incessant assault of untrustworthy signals hindered rescue attempts and increased the sense of powerlessness among those fervently hoping for a miracle. Ever since then, nothing has been found. Chapter 5. Researchers' Discovery. The decades-long hunt for Amelia Earhart's missing aircraft has yielded new hope. Researchers think they made a big find using sonar imaging technology, which uses sound waves to survey the ocean floor. Their sonar data indicates that there may be an airplane wreck somewhere in the wide Pacific Ocean at an astounding 4,877 meters, 16,000 feet, below the surface. Full of cautious optimism, the team announced their findings on social media. They think there's a good chance this undiscovered underwater structure is the wreckage of the Lockheed 10E Electra, the same aircraft that Amelia Earhart and her co-pilot Fred Noonan were flying when they mysteriously disappeared 87 years ago on their daring attempt to circumnavigate the globe. Leading ocean exploration company Deep Sea Vision is presenting an amazing video from their underwater mission. They posted an engaging video on Instagram on January 27th, showcasing their hard work. With 16 experts on staff, the Deep Sea Vision team carefully examined more than 5,200 square miles of the floor. Modern equipment helped them in their unrelenting search. The Kongsberg Discovery Hugin 6000, acknowledged as the most sophisticated unmanned underwater drone. This cutting-edge submarine was essential in finding what might be the wreckage of Amelia Earhart's renowned Lockheed 10E Electra. One of the most widely accepted explanations for Amelia Earhart's disappearance is that she ran out of fuel close to Howland Island. Dorothy Cochran, a curator at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum who is well-versed in aviation history, supports this theory. In an interview with the BBC, Cochran examines Amelia Earhart's last frantic radio communication to the USCG Itasca, the ship based at Howland Island. The strength of her signal, Cochran continues, indicates they weren't incredibly far from the island. This closeness and the desperation in Amelia Earhart's voice when she spoke the terrifying "we must be on you" create a devastating image. It seems, Cochran says with a sense of sorrow, that despite being close, they could not locate the speck of land before their fuel reserves dwindled, forcing them to ditch the Electra in the vast Pacific. Richard Jantz, emeritus professor of anthropology and head of the Forensic Anthropology Center at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, says he knows what happened to Amelia Earhart. In 2018, he re-examined 7 bone measurements taken in 1940 by physician D.W. Hoodless, who believed the bones belonged to a man. Jantz discovered critical problems with Fordisk, a significantly more recent computer application. In the report, he also stated, There was suspicion at the time that the bones could be the remains of Amelia Earhart. A claim that Amelia Earhart survived the transatlantic flight, relocated to New Jersey, changed her name, got married again, and became Irene Craigmile Bolam, was the subject of Episode 2 of the Undiscovered History series on the National Geographic Channel in November 2006. Based on Major Joseph Gervais's study, author Joe Kloss first made this allegation in his 1970 book, Amelia Earhart Lives. Despite this being the least accepted theory, many people seem optimistic about Amelia's existence. Amelia Earhart was a phenomenon as well as a pilot. Over her life, she broke through the aviation barriers to become a world-renowned figure. Her mysterious charm was derived from a strong fusion of seemingly incompatible qualities. She was endearing in her quiet way, but she also exuded a strong sense of independence. Amelia Earhart's steadfast courage in the face of extreme danger, steely determination, and ability to remain composed under duress were legendary. Due to these attributes and her unwavering pursuit of her objectives, she became a role model for a generation. Amelia Earhart was a phenomenon as well as a pilot. Over her life, she broke through the aviation barriers to become a world-renowned figure. The terrible circumstances surrounding Amelia Earhart's early disappearance only heightened the mystery around her. Her narrative, trapped in time forever, captivated the attention of people worldwide. Her life has been the subject of innumerable books and hundreds of articles, permanently inscribing her name in the records of time. A popular motivational story, especially for young women, Amelia Earhart's voyage is a tribute to the strength of overcoming obstacles and pursuing big aspirations. She is unquestionably a feminist icon who broke down barriers and still motivates future generations to aim high. Thanks for watching this video. Before you click off, please check out other videos on your screen.